Hey guys, welcome back to the Backlog right here on SNAPT for Season 2. It's been a little while, it's been a few months. I've had a bit of time to wind down a bit, calm down, and I'm ready to get back into the game reviewing game, as it were. I'm a huge proponent of video games being fun above all else. They can be pretty and they can have intriguing characters and stories, but if the gameplay isn't fun to me, then I simply won't bother. Just look at Final Fantasy XIII. And I feel that modern games are trying too hard to be innovative and very realistic and gritty at some points, and they sort of lose the fun, if you know what I mean. As a result, I've been looking at more retro titles, stuff from, I can't believe I'm saying this, but the PS2, that's apparently retro now, and previously, and I've been having a lot more fun playing those games than I have with a lot of modern games. Hell, I don't even bother with games that come out brand new half the time. But I know a lot of you guys that watch our content here on SNAPT are more interested in more modern stuff, like Halo, and for some of you, Battlefield, or to even fewer of you, Call of Duty. So I feel like I'm gonna do the best of both worlds here and do a retro revival that was done right. Doom. Wait a minute. That's better.
Doom, the classic of classics when it comes to first-person shooters. While id Software's own Wolfenstein 3D technically came first, 1993's Doom was the first game that truly put the first-person shooter on the map, quickly becoming one of, if not the most installed bit of software on PCs at the time. Doom has been the subject of several controversies over the years, all stemming from its incredibly violent gameplay and a story heavily featuring the demonic forces of hell as the sole enemies in the entire series. It was even cited as one of the inspirations for the Columbine High School Massacre of 1999, which was one of the factors that called into question whether or not such violent video games should be sold or even made. But I'm not here to talk about that, that's what my other show is for. In any case, Doom was a massive success and was revolutionary in allowing players to build their own mods using developer tools, as well as in popularizing cooperative play and deathmatch games during LAN parties back in the day. Doom was also ported to nearly every gaming device available at the time, with ports for the Super Nintendo, the Sega 32X, the Atari Jaguar, the PlayStation, and so many more. I'm surprised it hasn't been on mobile phones by this point. Oh, are you fucking serious? A sequel, Doom 2, was released in 1994, followed by the Ultimate Doom compilation, Final Doom, and the not-so-well-received Doom 3 and its later BFG edition. Novels came out, a hilariously awful comic book got made, and it even got made into a feature film starring Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, which really wasn't that good and totally bombed. The point is, this game isn't just a piece of gaming history, it's a piece of modern culture, and while my experience with the original Doom is limited, I will forever have an undying respect for it.
id and ZeniMax had been trying to get a reboot of Doom off the ground for several years, and after Wolfenstein: The New Order managed to succeed far beyond their expectations, it was finally time to really push forward with a new Doom. It came out this past May to really positive buzz. I was interested. Then, they dropped a demo during E3, I tried it, I loved it, I picked it up during a Prime Day sale for $30, and I haven't looked back. Is that giving away too much? Anyway. Let's look at Doom 4. Or Doom. Or Doom.
At the start of the single-player campaign, you, as Doom Guy, awaken from a crypt inside a UAC facility that's being overtaken by the forces of hell. After grabbing a gun or two and putting on your Praetor suit, you're already starting your rampage through the facility, brutally and violently ripping and tearing through the demonic presence. As it turns out, though, one of the scientists, Dr. Olivia Pierce, is hell-bent on unleashing the forces of hell upon our dimension, and Samuel Hayden, the android-converted doctor who runs this particular facility on Mars, wants you to stop her and destroy the hell portal. But let's be honest, you're not going to play Doom for its story. You're playing Doom to kill shit, to blow through the demon armies of hell in the most gruesome, gory, and glorious ways possible. The game itself even knows this. When Hayden is initially trying to convince Doom Guy to work with him, Doom Guy just shoves the monitor aside as if to say, "Oh, I know where this is going," and proceeds to deal with the demons the old-fashioned way, with guns. Lots and lots of guns. Who's a man and a half? I'm a man and a half. Although, to be fair, I gotta say that the scene where the title comes up is incredibly well done and does a great job of getting me absolutely pumped to play this game.
I'm willing to take full responsibility for the horrible events of the last 24 hours, but you must understand. Our interest in their world was purely for the betterment of mankind. Everything has clearly gotten out of hand now, yes. But it was worth the risk. I assure you.
Oh, fuck, yes!
Doom is a retro throwback game as well as a bit of a reboot. Tropes that are mainstays in modern shooters don't apply here. No regenerating health. You carry your whole arsenal of weapons with you instead of just 2 of them. The story, for the most part, doesn't matter all too much. Key hunting is a constant. Enemies have their own weaknesses that require the player to adapt to survive, and holy fuck is this game crazy fast-paced. Seriously, at some points I found myself running, jumping, turning 180 degrees, shooting, throwing a grenade, meleeing, tying my shoes, and writing a sonnet in the span of about 1 second. I honestly don't think I could play this game with a controller. One of the most integral features that helps keep this pace up is glory kills. When you injure an enemy to a certain point, they'll be staggered and have a colored highlight over them. Blue if they're too far away, orange if you're close enough for a glory kill. Just melee when the fuckers are orange, and not only will they die in a spectacular fashion, but they'll also drop health packs for you. Juicy, delicious health packs. As for weapons, there's a pistol that you'll never use, the combat shotgun, a chainsaw that rips copious amounts of ammo from enemies when used, the heavy assault rifle, the plasma gun, the rocket launcher, the badass super shotgun, the chain gun, the Gauss cannon, and, of course, the BFG 9000, which destroys rooms full of enemies like they're wet tissue paper. I'm gonna be honest though, I mostly used the shotguns over the course of Doom's campaign. Of course, whenever I ran out of shotgun shells, I'd switch to the plasma rifle or heavy assault rifle, but the shotguns are your best friends, especially so when you get the super shotgun. There are also a few secondary equipment items, a frag grenade, a hologram, and a siphon grenade, and you can switch between them at will. I personally found the hologram to be useless since the demons already know who the real Doom guy is, so don't waste your time with it. The siphon grenade can be pretty useful though, since it steals enemies' health and restores a bit of your own. Every so often you'll have the opportunity to upgrade your weapons and armor. Your weapons can have secondary firing modes unlocked, as well as things like firing speed increases and mobility enhancers. Armor upgrades can increase your maximum health, shields, or ammo, as well as let you hold another piece of equipment, power-ups lasting longer, and protection from environmental hazards such as explosive barrel damage. You can also find rune challenges in most, if not every mission. Simply interact with the glowing rune stone, complete the short challenge, and you'll unlock a rune, which is basically a modifier of sorts that lets you do things like increase your glory kill range. You can unlock 3 slots for runes, and they can be upgraded by completing certain challenges as you play the campaign, and all of these help to make you feel more powerful as you progress, and it's such a great feeling. Speaking of challenges, each mission has its own set of challenges and secrets to be found, such as killing every enemy, finding the dead soldiers and their Praetor tokens for weapon upgrades, the runes, drones that you rip weapon mods from, finding Argent Energy siphoned from hell to upgrade your health, ammo, and such, and finding little Doom Guy toys just because. There's shit everywhere if you go off the beaten path, and no matter how often you find these secrets, it's still very satisfying and adds a replayability factor that will likely keep me coming back. This is especially the case when you find the classic level in a mission. In each mission, there's a lever that can be pulled that will open up a door that was previously locked. The door will lead into a small area that's rendered out in the classic Doom graphics and unlocks a full level from one of the classic games to play from the campaign menu, with you and the enemies rendered out in the new game engine. It truly shows how far we've come in terms of technology in 23 years.
While you can tell visually just how far we've come with the medium of video games, let me read off the system requirements for 1993's Doom versus the minimum requirements for 2016's Doom. The original Doom required a processor clocked at 66 MHz, 8 MB of RAM, the earliest operating system that could run it was Windows 95, and it needed 40 MB of uncompressed hard drive space with another 100 MB of free space. The minimum requirements for Doom 4 are a quad-core processor clocked at 3.3 GHz or higher, 8 GB of RAM, at least Windows 7, a GTX 670 with at least 2 GB of VRAM, and at least 55 GB of hard drive space. And that's only the minimum.
Now, just because you have your weapons and runes upgraded out the ass and lots of health, armor, and ammo, doesn't mean this game will be a walk in the park. I played on the most middle-of-the-road setting, Ultra Violence, and in the second half of the game I found myself dying much more often, forcing me to change up my tactics and maintaining an incredibly high awareness of my surroundings. high look sensitivity is a must. Even then, I still died. I died a lot, especially the last couple of missions, because they throw everything in the goddamn kitchen sink at you. Revenants, Cacodemons, Cyber Mancubuses, Hell Knights, Barons of Hell, Pinkies, Summoners. It just feels so overwhelming, but stick it out and keep trying. That feeling of accomplishment is so worth it. Of course, Doom isn't just a single-player game. There's also a multiplayer mode which keeps the same fast-paced gameplay of the campaign, and even allows players to turn into various demons to rack up the kill count. I didn't spend much time with the multiplayer, but I feel like I got enough out of it. The cosmetic customization is pretty deep here, coloring so many parts of your armor and weapons and adding different patterns to them, and swapping out the armor pieces on top of that gives me a good feeling of individuality in matches. What sort of perplexes me though is that one of the weapons you start with in multiplayer is the super shotgun, with the combat shotgun being unlocked later. The latter seems to be more powerful in multiplayer, but in the campaign this is completely reversed. It's nowhere near a game breaker though. There's also the SNAPT map, which takes the ideology of allowing players to make their own Doom levels that's been around since the early days, and makes it a bit more user-friendly. Unfortunately, I suck at map making tools and map design, but the amount of options has led to an astonishing amount of player-created content of countless varieties, including recreations of other game genres entirely. Seeing such ambition and creativity brings joy to my heart. I'm just a bit upset that I can't do it. Unfortunately, to switch between these three game modes, at least on PC, you have to restart the game. The game launches in campaign mode, so if you want to play multiplayer or work in SNAPT map, you're gonna have to wait for the game to boot up, load the menu, close, boot up again, and load the menu again. Yeah, the load times aren't the greatest, but that's honestly the only complaint I have. Visually, even around medium settings, this game looks pretty damn good. Textures are clean, lighting is pretty atmospheric, colors pop, and the level of detail is almost astonishing. It's very well optimized too. I was getting a very consistent 60 frames per second with only a few drops here and there, and those drops weren't even when I had a lot of enemies around me at once. When things got hectic and there were a lot of enemies around, the game still ran buttery smooth, and I'm highly impressed with that. As for the music, I'm of two minds with it. I love metal, and I love that the soundtrack of the original Doom is inspired by artists such as Pantera, Metallica, and Megadeth, with some tracks being straight MIDI versions of their songs. But here, the electronic edge to the score is interesting to say the least. It definitely adds to the high-octane power that flows through you while slaughtering the demon hordes, and it fits really well with the industrial environment. The sound design on the whole is highly competent, with sound effects that really pack a punch and stand out amongst background noises. I especially love the sound of the super shotgun, my favorite gun in the game.
Now, while I know I said that no one plays Doom for the story and that this game's story isn't that complicated, I'm still going to give the spoiler warning. So skip to this time frame if you don't want the game spoiled for you. Although if you've played the first Doom, you kind of know what's coming.
After acquiring the BFG 9000, Doomguy descends into hell to end Olivia's plans to unleash the demonic hordes onto our world. When you find her though, she seems remorseful, speaking as if she had been used or betrayed, only to be forcibly transformed into the Spider Demon, the final boss of the game. She's not a hard boss, you just gotta pump her full of lead enough times, jump when you have to, and stay on the move. For your finishing move, you shove the BFG 9000 into her mouth and fire. Doomguy is transported back to the UAC facility, where Hayden thanks him for his efforts, but tells him he's going to rebuild the facility to harvest Hell's Argent energy once again. He knows Doomguy will try and stop him, and he doesn't care. He teleports Doomguy away, and that's the end of Doom 4. Like I said before, you're most likely not going to play Doom for the plot, but it's a satisfying enough conclusion that leaves the narrative open-ended to allow for further sequels if id and Bethesda think that they'd be worth the money to make. The way that you execute the Spider Demon though is just great, couldn't ask for a better way to end it.
So all in all, would I recommend Doom 4? Well, let me answer that question with another question. How negative have I been during this review?
Between the fast-paced gameplay, the amount of replayability, challenging but not unforgiving difficulty, and its shameless flying of the retro flag, Doom 4 is a raw, visceral, and above all, fun experience I haven't had playing a game in years. The story is largely unobtrusive, but there are plenty of datapads and logs to flesh it out for those curious. It takes a backseat to tremendously fun and over-the-top gameplay that will likely please not just fans of the original Doom, but any lover of first-person shooters. Get it. Get it now.
You know, that's just what I needed to start the season. A simple game that doesn't take itself too seriously and places fun above all else. I think it's going to be a good season. So, till next time guys, have a good night and happy gaming.